crochet hook, or knitting needles? Which do you think I used this time for this central element? This cable right here. Now, you'll probably say, you knitted this on needles. But we can see double crochets here, so you must have joined the motifs together with double crochets somehow. And here, I'll tell you no. This cable, along with those double crochets, is 100% worked with just this crochet hook in one continuous piece. No cutting, no seaming, no working lots of tiny separate parts. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll show you exactly how this cable is made. So everything we need to crochet this cable is just a hook. And I'll continue working directly on this swatch. The swatch has 50 stitches cast on, 48 stitches, which is a multiple of 6, plus 2 edge stitches for symmetry. So to work this cable, cast on a multiple of 6 plus 2. I'm casting on 50. And I'll go straight into working the cable itself. Row 1, the first row of the first cable band. 1 turning chain, turn. From here, work into the back loop only as slip stitches with yarn over. Yarn over, insert the hook into the back loop of the next stitch and work 2 slip stitches with yarn over. 1 and 2. Then chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yarn over again, and along the bottom of the cable, count 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 stitches here. Insert the hook into the 5th stitch and work 2 slip stitches with yarn over again. 1 and 2. Chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Along the bottom, count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, insert hook into the next stitch in the bottom row, work 1 slip stitch with yarn over, then another. Work this repeat to the end of the row. So for every 4 stitches along the bottom row, you chain 6 above. And notice what creates these arches. Continue to the end. 2 slip stitches, chain 6, 2 slip stitches, chain 6. Approaching the end of the row, I've completed the last repeat, chained 6, and here at the end, I also work 2 slip stitches with yarn over into the last 2 stitches of the row. 1 and 2. One turning chain, turn. Now row 2 of the first cable band begins, and row 2 is even simpler. In row 2, we simply work slip stitches with yarn over into every stitch, into the back loop only. 1 slip stitch with yarn over into every point across the entire row. Along the chain 6 arches, work into the back loop in the same way. Because we're working slip stitches with yarn over throughout, a beautiful, full textured braid appears on the right side of the fabric, exactly what we're after. Work to the end of the row and meet me there. I'll show you how to work the second band. Row 2 of the first band is done. Now the second band begins. That's rows 3 and 4. 1 turning chain, turn. And now I begin row 3. Watch this part carefully. Row 3 is the row that forms the twists and the interlacing of the cable. Turning chain and turn are done. Yarn over, insert the hook into the second stitch from the hook, and work 1, work 2 slip stitches with yarn over. 2 slip stitches done, then chain 2. 1, 2. Now I'm going to braid the cable. Here's what I do. I fold this arch toward me like this. Remember, under the arch, we left only 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. There they are, those 4 stitches under the arch. Yarn over, and I find the center two of those 4 stitches, the second and the third. Insert the hook into the second stitch, into the back loop. Draw off the working yarn and work a slip stitch. Yarn over again, insert into the next one, the third stitch under the arch, and work another slip stitch with yarn over into the back loop. Then chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the repeat in row 3 is essentially the same as in row 1, 2 slip stitches, chain 6, but it shifts slightly relative to row 1. 6 chains done, and now the most important moment. I take this chain and pass it through the arch like this, and look, the cable is already crossing and braiding. The working yarn goes to the right. Remember this, the working yarn must always go to the right of the chain. If it doesn't, you won't be able to unthread the chain later, and you'll have to cut the yarn. Move to the next arch, find the center stitches again, second and third, yarn over and work 2 slip stitches with yarn over into those center stitches. 1 and 2. Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The yarn is now running through the fabric, and that's completely correct. Throughout row 3, the yarn will be threading itself into the fabric. It will come free in row 4. Don't panic, everything is right. Thread the chain through the arch again, return the loop to the hook. Pull out a little yarn. Make sure the yarn is going to the right, never to the left, always to the right. Move to the next arch. Fold it toward you, find the second stitch, work a slip stitch with yarn over into the back loop. Into the next stitch, another slip stitch with yarn over into the back loop. Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think the principle is clear. The cable is already twisting. The spiral is forming. Work this way to the end of the row. One thing to watch. Right now my cable is twisting to the right, and I'm also twisting this cable to the right. Make sure all your cable twists go in the same direction, all to the right. With this threading technique, you can twist either right or left. You can make mirror cables, just go the other direction. But within one cable, keep all the twists going the same way. Meet me at the end of the row. Approaching the end of the row. I've worked 2 slip stitches with yarn over into the last arch, and now I close out the row. Chain 2. Thread the chain through the arch, and here at the very edge, the end of the row. 1, 2. For these 2 last stitches, pull out a little yarn. Make sure the yarn is going to the right of the chain, no other way. Work 2 slip stitches with yarn over as usual. 1 and 2. Row 3 is complete. You can already see the cable has twisted beautifully. All that's left now is to work back along row 3 with slip stitches with yarn over, exactly as we did in row 2. Don't worry. Yes, the fabric is twisted, but it's all very doable. Row 4. 1 turning chain, turn. Let me pull out a little working yarn, because as you can see, the yarn is threaded into the fabric. But now, in row 4, the magic happens. If you threaded everything correctly, if you followed my instructions without going a single step left or right, everything will come out perfectly. Yarn over, start in the second stitch from the hook, work slip stitches with yarn over. 1, into every stitch into the back loop only. 2, along the chain 6 sections, also work into the back loop. 3, 4. When it gets awkward, I take my work, slit the loop off the hook, and dip through the arch like this. Return to the hook and continue along the same band, the second band, into the back loop. And watch, the yarn is following along, and arch by arch, twist by twist, with each dip through the arch, it unthreads itself. Again, dip through the arch. My tip, pull out a generous length of yarn right now. Pull it out here so it has some slack, because it's threaded into the fabric and it won't pull freely from the ball. Again, and continue working slip stitches with yarn over into the back loop. Working strictly along row 3, the third row, the second band. Never jumping to a different row. I hope this is clear. Here's the cable. You're looking at the wrong side right now. I'll show you the right side in a moment. Work to the end of the row and meet me there. Row 4 is done. 1 turning chain, turn. There it is, the cable. All the magic has happened. The cable has braided. The yarn has come free. Now I'll work row 5. Row 5 is worked on top of the finished cable. It's the row that locks all the twists together. It comes from the other side, on top. There are a few little secrets here too. 1 turning chain, turn. Starting as always in the second stitch from the hook, work slip stitches with yarn over. 1, 2, then 1 chain. Now I need to move to the next twist, but I need to count carefully to know exactly where to join. So I take the fabric and count along this cable line from the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 5th. Yarn over, insert the hook into the 5th stitch, into the back loop. Work a slip stitch with yarn over. 1, and into the next stitch, 2. 1 chain. Now move to the next band. How do I know where to insert? I could go here or here, but we're not doing it by eye. Everything here needs mathematical precision. So I count again. Here's the stitch that was used in a previous step. After that stitch, I count 6 unused stitches, because remember, the repeat along the chain was 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's the 7. Yarn over, insert into the 7th stitch, into the back loop. 1, and into the next stitch, 2. 1 chain. Move to the next cable twist the same way. Spread the fabric apart a little and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the 7th stitch. I work 1 slip stitch with yarn over into it, and into the next stitch, the 2nd slip stitch with yarn over. Chain 1. Now we move to the next twist. Again, count. Here's the 7th stitch. Work 1 slip stitch with yarn over into it, and into the next stitch, the 2nd slip stitch with yarn over. Chain 1. I think the pattern is clear. Work this way to the end of the row. At the end of the row, I strongly recommend you count all your stitches. The stitch count must equal 50, which is the number I cast on. Finishing row 5, here's the last arch. 2 slip stitches with yarn over, 1 chain, and the last 2 stitches of the row. 2 slip stitches again. 1 and 2. 1 turning chain, turn. Row 6. 50 slip stitches with yarn over. Back to my original stitch count. 1 stitch into every point, into the back loop, all the way to the end. And here's what it looks like on the right side. Row 6 is done. The cable is complete. Here's what we've got. From here, you can move into any other stitch pattern you like. In my design, between the cables, there's a row of double crochets, and then I come back to a row of slip stitches with yarn over. This is probably the best way to look at this cable. A wonderful stitch option, maybe for a summer garment, a summer tunic, a polo neck. You could even make a sweater with this motif. You're probably curious what the wrong side of this cable looks like. Is it reversible? Here it's also very neat, but I don't think this stitch is reversible. For a scarf it would work, it's clean and pretty, and the cable crossing is visible on the wrong side too, but those beautiful, full, textured braids are not there on the back. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment telling me where you would use this stitch. Thank you in advance for your likes, your comments, and for subscribing to my channel. I also want to remind you that I have an entire huge collection of crochet as knit stitch patterns on my channel, where I use a crochet hook to imitate the look of knitting. You'll find all of these patterns in the description, in the dedicated playlist, or check the end cards on screen. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.